We begin in a seated position. So we are currently moving from Vata season to Kapha season, transitioning from winter to spring. We just had the spring equinox this past week. So the one element that we're really missing, Vata to Kapha, is fire. We've got air, we've got ether, we've got earth, we've got water. Let's create balance by bringing the energy of fire into our opening meditation. So that is our ring finger. We can bring thumb to our ring finger. I have seen it done gently touching or tucking the ring finger inside the thumb. Yogi's choice. So let's use our breathing, feeling, listening to our bodies to find a comfortable way to hold the mudra so that we can maintain it for our 3 to 5 minute opening meditation. Option to close our eyes here. Sitting tall and strong. Let's start our body scan, mental check-in with our hands. Noticing any sensations in the hands. We can always check in with our 5 senses to bring us into the present moment. Noticing sensation of touch, the thumb touching the finger or our hands touching wherever they're resting on our legs. Sensation of temperature. We may also be able to tune into our subtle body energy. Can we feel a sense of fire in our hands? Do we feel the energy traveling from our hands through the rest of the body, enlivening us with warmth, the fire of transformation? Readying ourselves for practice here this morning. We can add a more fiery style of breathing to our practice as well to intensify the strength of this mudra. Remembering, of course, for ourselves, checking in. Do you need extra fire today? If you feel your fire is a little too hot, we can go easy on this fiery opening practice. If we're ready to stoke our inner fire, let's begin with our 3-part breath. Letting the breath drop deep down, imagining that our lungs go right to the base of the pelvis with our inhale, filling lungs from bottom to top. And we add a little fire with our exhale. This is one of our bandhas, Uddiyana Bandha, belly button to spine. We've been listening to since the 20-minute workout was on TV. So gently drawing the navel, the abdominals towards the spine on the exhale. Tuning into solar plexus, 3rd chakra, fire energy, waking up our abdominals. Or the term I actually really like for this breathing comes from Pilates. We refer to it as Pilates zest, giving our breath some zest. Full inhalation, letting the ribcage expand. And then our exhalation, drawing our abdominals in, and we can lift up through our pelvic floor as well. So this is our root lock being gently married to our belly lock. And then checking in with how we're doing. Option to choose a word or several words to describe how we're feeling. We can set an intention for our practice together. Remembering, of course, modifying as necessary. You are the boss of your own yoga practice today and every day. then when we're ready to do so, we can open the eyes. Let's release the hands, circle sweeping arms to sky. Inhaling up, lifting our energy, and exhaling hands to heart. Maybe picturing ourselves growing like firelight, but we still have our calm, cool, controlled center. So in the same way that we have a balanced practice in our bodies, we can have a balanced practice in our mudras so we are not wildly burning out of control. Okay, we'll bring hands down to heart in Anjali Mudra or prayer mudra. This can be a reminder to listen to our inner teacher as we go. Sometimes reminds us to connect to one another. And that yoga isn't just a workout, but can be a deeper practice, connecting us to ourselves, others, and our subtle body energy. We'll do a little warm-up for our wrists and hands here. Let's start with wrist circles. We can make a very gentle position with the hands or a tight fist to get more sensation in our wrist circles, give it a little more gusto, making sure that we're circling both directions. And the body might want to go with it. I usually teach belly dance. I'm accustomed to moving the rib cage with the hands. I can feel that impulse starting to go. We could go with our impulses or just notice them. These are often our samskaras, our habit patterns. Good to be aware of them. And then we can do our spirit fingers, wiggling our fingers, imagining we are playing the piano and touching thumb to each finger in turn a few times here, tuning in with our knuckles, our joints, remembering to take care as needed as we move through our practice. We'll let our hands rest. We can take fingertips beside us on the mat. Waking up our spines in all directions, we begin with lateral flexion. Let's start with just the spine. So we're sliding hands out one way. Big breath in. Reinvigorating Uddiyana Bandha, Mula Bandha as we come back through center with our exhale. Inhaling, sliding and opening the other way, and exhaling back through center. So I want to give us a practice where our arms and hands get a rest. If we would like to be more conventional and sweep arms to sky, we can. Increasing the opening sensation through the underarm, side of the rib cage. Matching breath to movement. Letting our bodies be our guide here. We'll make our way back through center. If we do need more of a rest for our hands, feel free to stay here for seated cat and cow. We may like to sit on the heels. Or if we are ready for our regular cat and cow, coming onto all fours. Spreading our fingers wide. Re-energizing hands and palms. We talked about Hasta Bandha this morning. Our hands or palms can be like suction cups, pressing down through our fingerprints and our knuckle joints. We can also press through the tops of the feet. Sometimes that helps with our mind-body connection. And then let's move through cat and cow. Yogi's choice. We might want to ripple through the spine like a wave, drawing in that water element. Starting at the tailbone and then letting the ripple flow up to the crown of the head. Again, if we're thinking kapha season, bringing in the energy of water. Even as we move into summer, thinking surfing season, energy of water. Our pitta energy in the summer is kind of a watery energy. So we can move through the spine like a wave. Although there are other favorite ways to practice cat and cow. Leading from the rib cage is another favorite, or leading from the heart. So flowing any way that feels beneficial to the body. Let's give it a couple more here. Charging up our Uddiyana Bandha and Mula Bandha in cat, and then holding that containment as we stretch forward into cow. Let's pause in cow for a moment here, open-hearted. And then coming back into neutral. Warming up our twists on all fours. I'll show you lifting my right hand, so my back will be to you first. Inhaling, lifting the right hand, pressing down through the left hand. We can imagine our arms grow longer. And then exhaling, thread the needle. That's our flow. Inhaling to the top and exhaling drawing our abdominal center in. And we have more twists yet to come, so we don't want to overheat ourselves building our fire. The next time we're at the top range of motion, let's pause in this open twist. Spreading fingers wide, engaging dynamic tension through our hands and forearms. Drawing ourselves back through center. We'll make our way to the other side. So if we're lifting left, spreading fingers on the right hand, inhaling up, and exhaling down. We don't often do a lot of opening twists. Seeing what that feels like, and then noticing as we draw the abs in, closing the twist probably feels a little different. The next time we're in our open twist, let's pause, pressing down through the tops of the feet, both knees, the right hand, and we'll make our way back through center. Shifting back to child's pose, option to flip the palms up again to give a rest from a different angle. Let's warm up our half series here. Extended child's, inhaling forward to our plank, exhaling, drawing dynamic tension, elbows to ribs. Let's do our half series prep. So we'll press back up from our yogi push-up and then rest back into child's. Yes, we could be doing our fists for wrists. Anything else that we think we need here? Another option that we don't always go into is just coming forward into plank and skipping the push-up. Sometimes the upper body is happier with that. Remembering we don't want to burn out with our inner fire. It's just one element to tap into. Give it a few more here. If we do really want to tap into that inner fire, our half series prep or yogi push-up is there for us. And then when we're ready to do so, we can pause again back in child's. Maybe palms flip up or on our forearms so there's a little less pressure on the hands and wrists. Although if we are ready for down dog, saying good morning to our down dog, good morning to our hamstrings. Walking our dog, shifting our tail side to side. And we can kind of welcome in these same movements in our child's pose, right? Shifting the hips, turning the head side to side, shifting our body weight side to side. Walking hands to feet, forward fold, and we can take our time coming up to a standing position. Resetting our posture, circle sweep arms to sky, exhaling through our Anjali Mudra. Option to bring awareness to the contact of palm to palm, once more sensing touch, temperature, the subtle energy of our hands. Maybe there's a sense of vibration or a hum of energy beneath the literal structures that we see and feel. Adding on our chair flow. Sitting our hips down and back, waking up our glutes. You know how it goes. Bringing attention to our hands might also help us bring attention to our feet. Spreading our toes, lifting up through the inner arches of the feet, and then letting that energy draw up through the inside of the leg, inner thigh, pelvic floor, belly lock, all parts of the system working together. Okay, last one here. Let's pause at the bottom. We'll get into our ankles, lifting one heel at a time. And if we feel called to do so, both heels together. May help to kick in our core and our stabilizing muscles by pressing our hands together more than we might normally do. Shoulders down, elbows up, firm press together. When we're ready to do so, lowering our heels, releasing our chair flow, and once more, circle sweeping arms to start fresh here. Okay, we'll step wide on our mats, turning whichever way makes the most sense in your own space for our sunflowers. And let's do it with our sun mudra again. So we can take thumb to ring finger, and we know our sun mudra, right? Inhaling up and out. Sunflowers, draw a circle with our fingers. We can add our hip hinge, shifting hips back. Preparing inner thighs, lower body muscles to be strong for the work ahead. We'll do a warrior series and a whole bunch of lunges. Okay, last one here. Let's pause in our 5-pointed star and we'll use Prana Mudra. So Prana Mudra is our first 2 fingers up, sort of like we're getting ready to do bunny ears on somebody in a photo. So our thumb is holding down on the fingernails of our ring and pinky, inhaling up and out into our 5-pointed star, and then exhaling, elbows and knees bend together. Just a slight shift back with the hips so we can be more like an elevator, straight up and down. What is our Prana Mudra? So we know prana, like pranayama, is our energy in the body. But this is actually also called our happiness mudra. So let's bring a sense of uplift, happiness, lifting our heart, joyous posture. There were these commercials for years and years and years about people winning at the casino and their arms getting stuck overhead. They're so happy. So let's kind of bring that energy into ourselves. Of course, I am not endorsing gambling in any form, but let's bring that kind of yes energy overhead. There's also been research done in power poses and even in people who do not have sight, that if they are successful and they win something, they have this empowering overhead posture. So let's bring that sense of yes, happiness energy into our bodies. All right, last one here, 5-pointed star, and then some free flow. Maybe nice to take hands to thighs, dip one shoulder at a time, or take hands to the mat or shift our weight side to side. Again, this is an opportunity. Often we say listening to our bodies. Can we be listening to our subtle bodies? What kind of energy is flowing in the body? How can we make that more balanced here with our movements? All right, we'll stand tall. We'll walk our feet together, stepping to the top of the mat. Let's get into some lunges. We'll start with Flight of the Bird or Flying Bird. We probably know this one well. We'll bring hands to heart center to begin. And then let's do our Charlie's Angels mudra, shooting, sometimes called a yogi gun. Alternating a step back into a short stance warrior to warm up. Right or left or right, doesn't matter. Warming up the outer edge of the ankle, our fibularis muscles, the outside of the foot. And then we can add a little energy to our pose with our mudra here. We can inhale up and exhale down. Or we may like to again be listening to our inner teacher or our intuition. We can tap this one to our third eye as we go. So smaller range of motion, sort of a quieter practice, but we can use this mudra to help tune in to our inner teacher, our sight without seeing, third eye mudra. Third eye mudra, third eye chakra. Once more each way, maybe a bigger step back this time as our legs are warming up. Coming to the top, releasing our mudra, and let's swan dive down to the mat. Forward fold. We can give our heads a gentle shake, let our belly rest on our thighs, feeling supported by our root chakra energy, strong legs. We can rest that fiery energy of our bellies for a moment here. Taking a pause, taking a breather.
stepping back with the right foot into kneeling lunge here.
Climbing up. Once more coming into our Charlie's Angel Mudra. What is this? This is our Kali Mudra. Let's use this to twist. So we'll keep our strong core posture, inhaling up, and then exhaling, twisting, sort of shooting down and past our front thigh. Let's give that a couple more. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Might be too large a range of motion to go overhead. Of course, we can only go part way there if that's more comfortable. Let's pause and hold at the bottom. Option to turn and look over the left shoulder. We'll inhale back to the top and then release hands down to the mat. Let's step into forward fold. And we're switching feet here. Right foot at the top, left foot back, kneeling lunge. Finding our stable base first, and then we add on the fancy stuff. Interlace. For balance, noticing which thumb we've been putting on top, let's put the opposite thumb on top. Here we go. Inhaling up and exhaling to twist. One more here. We'll pause and hold our twisted lunge. Option to sort of turn and check our blind spot over the right shoulder. Inhaling back to the top, releasing hands, and this time stepping backwards into down dog or child's. Option to rest or flow through our half series. Okay, we'll keep thinking element of fire, solar plexus, coming onto all fours for our kneeling side plank. We can go ahead and kickstand the right foot out, extending our left leg so we have right hand, right knee, and left foot all in line, opening into our kneeling side plank. If we would like to engage muscles of the outer hip, we can. Maybe we feel we need a little quad stretch. We could go for our kneeling bow. I don't know what we call it. Side plank with quad stretch. Let's do one more breath in here. And we'll switch sides. Pivoting to the opposite side. So left hand, left knee, and right foot are all on the mat. We're pressing down. What do they say? Root to rise, growing roots, thinking springtime, new growth energy. And then choosing leg extended, quad stretch, or any other variation that we know and love. One more breath in. Resting back, down dog or child's, option to rest or flow. Round two. From all fours or from downward facing dog, rolling open into side plank or kneeling side plank. So we can stay off the knee this time if we like. Any fancy variations that we love, stacking the feet. If we're in our side plank, lifting the leg. I don't know if anybody can do a quad stretch here, but fake it. If we can't make it, it still engages the same muscles, the same kind of motor engagement in our minds. Let's take one more breath here. Smooth and controlled, resist the pull of gravity, stay lifted as we make our way to the second side. Sometimes our second side is the clunkier one that doesn't really want to cooperate in the same way, so let's be kind with ourselves, remembering our essence, our transformational language, doing whatever version we like. Our root lock may be very helpful here, our breath may be very helpful. One more breath in and out. Use that exhale to keep the trunk lifted even as we settle back. Option to rest or flow through our half series.
Making our way to the top of the mat. We can walk, we can hop. I'm migrating across the floor. Let's readjust once we come into standing. Okay, grab a drink if we would like. We have been working through this real fiery kind of energy. Remember, fire and water creates steam. It is what helps us sweat without drying out. From the top of our mats, we'll move through sun salutations. Our manual suggests Anjali Mudra. Okay, how about for today? Springtime is coming, our lotus mudra, the symbol of purity. The lotus grows out of muck, grows out of the mud like a diamond in the rough. We say, no mud, no lotus. Yogi's choice. Let's go through, I'll give us enough time for roughly 4 rounds of sun salutation. If we want to do 2 modified and then 2 unmodified at our own pace with our lotus mudra if we like. Okay, here we go. I won't give us too much instruction. I am sure at this point you know how to do sun salutations. And sometimes the most advanced practice is giving ourselves permission to rest. We could also use this time to ask ourselves, what does the symbol of the lotus mean to you in your life today? Perhaps you've just gone through a metaphorical winter of your own life. You feel that you have grown through the mud and maybe the sun is just around the corner, reaching up. Maybe you feel you are deep down in the depths of the mud. Or maybe you feel that this is a good time in your life. You are the lotus, basking in the sun. You've grown through the mud and the dirt. So if you're going the same sort of speed as me, I've just done 2 rounds modified and I'm going to do 2 rounds unmodified. We can have our lotus at heart center, breathing in the fragrance of springtime flowers, or we can be extending arms overhead, growing energy up. Okay, let's start to finish off roughly our last round wherever we are. Making it our own expression. And then as we get to the end, pausing in our mountain pose, drawing hands to lotus at heart center. Picturing sort of in our mind's nose, imagining in our mind's nose. I don't know what word to use. We usually say visualizing, but sensing the scent of springtime flowers, growth, and blooms yet to come. Perhaps it's a memory, or perhaps you have some essential oils around.
release our hands here. Let's circle sweep arms to sky, swan diving. We'll set up our alignment for a warrior series. So let's go ahead and take the right foot back for warrior one, growing up tall. Option for our Kali or Yogi Gun, Charlie's Angels Mudra one more time. Maybe bringing hands to heart, turning our attention inward, looking towards our intuition, or extending arms overhead, looking forward. Kind of keeping on the same theme of our intuition, and I'll face you. As we open out into Warrior Two, Jhana or Wisdom Mudra. So thumb and first finger together. And this one can be a way to set our alignment a little differently. Sometimes it's tough on the shoulders to be internally rotated, or the angle of the elbows a little irritating. So thumb and first finger together, other fingers relaxed, palms up. Slight shift, slight difference, maybe big results. Listening to our shoulders. Triangle pose here. We can keep the arms as they are. Holding our wisdom mudra, shifting front and back, readying our inner thigh and outer hip for triangle pose, extending far forward, and then opening into triangle. We can hold the mudra, we can hold a block, we can rest hand to hip, but we still hold on to the intention behind the mudra. How can we use our own inner wisdom in triangle pose? Inhale, staying uplifted and strong, but our exhale brings us into a wide-legged forward fold. Turning towards the back edge of the mat. So now we're on the other side in Warrior One again. So before we stepped back with the right, our left foot was at the front. You're facing away from me, your right foot at the front. We can bring our hands to our Yogi Gun. As long as you've pivoted towards the back edge of the mat, you're in the right spot. You're in good shape. We can bring our Kali Mudra or Charlie's Angel Mudra to our third eye again, turning our attention inward. And today here in this class, we have a lot of accumulated wisdom. Our inner teacher is wise and smart. Let's bring that energy with us as we open out to Warrior Two. Wisdom Mudra, Jhana Mudra, thumb and first finger together, palms up, pausing, holding strong in our Warrior Two. We could always see how it feels. Flip down, flip up, flip down, flip up. For triangle pose, we're straightening our front leg. Let's shift forward into the future and then pull ourselves back to the present. And the next time we extend forward, releasing into triangle pose. Even if we are releasing our mudra, we're still holding the intention of wisdom. Looking inside ourselves, asking for greater wisdom, seeing if we can have insight or learning from this moment right here, right now. Inhale keeps us tall, and then exhale, gently bringing ourselves down to our wide-legged forward fold, or standing straddle splits, whatever we want to call it here. Bringing awareness to our hands. Our hands can be our strong foundation, stacked wrists under shoulders. We have our practice of holding the outer edges of the ankles, our big toe yogi hold. Lots of options here. Tenting the fingers, being on fingertips. So we've been doing a lot of work with our hands. Let's have this moment of pause to be nurturing for our hands here. Let's go ahead and pivot to the front edge of the mat. Stepping back, yogi's choice, rest or flow. We have one final warrior series here. Oh, and we may like our block because we'll have an option for half moon balance. So let's start in downward facing dog, lifting our right leg to create space, stepping right foot to the top of the mat for our warrior one. We can bring our hands to Anjali Mudra, collecting our thoughts and our bodies in our warrior one upward posture. Let's go ahead and open to warrior two. And I'll mirror you, so right foot at the top of the mat, stacking hands over feet. Side angle pose, front arm to front thigh, stretching long. After we've had so much awareness on our hands, let's just let the hands be natural, reversing our warrior. From reversed warrior, option for half moon balance here. Flying forward, maybe we're walking that back foot in. There's a variation of half moon balance I like where we take the hands to the hips like a figure skater. We'll reverse this movement back into warrior two, back into reverse warrior. And let's do as we did before, hands down to the mat, wide-legged straddle split, pivoting to the opposite edge of the mat for warrior one. Now our left foot is at the top of the mat. Opening to warrior two. Pausing in our warrior two. Side angle pose, stretching long. Reversing our warrior. And then option for our half moon balance. Figure skater pose or hands down on the mat. Woo! Catch that moment of flight, and we're going back into our reverse warrior. Taking ourselves down to the mat. Wide-legged forward fold, pivoting back to the top edge of the mat. So we're coming back to the original front of the mat, stepping back, yogi's choice, rest or flow. Maybe grab a drink if we would like. From downward facing dog, lifting the left leg to create space, stepping the left foot between our hands for warrior one. And we'll do Ganesha Mudra here. So if we clasp our hands together, almost like Sound of Music, this is how they sing some of the numbers. We'll pause here in warrior one for a minute. So we did warrior one on the other side with no mudras. We'll do it on this side with a mudra. And then let's engage some muscular tension, just gently pulling the hands away from one another. Ganesha is our destroyer of obstacles. Thinking if there's something in our practice, our lives, our minds in this moment, seeing if this obstacle could be destroyed, how different things would be. And then here's our change. Let's release hands to hips, coming up into warrior three. Lifting our back leg, staying strong through the entire back line of the body. Stepping our feet together. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. We'll go backwards this time. So before we had our right leg lifted, let's shift our left leg back into warrior three. Pausing and finding balance here. Shifting back into warrior one. Warrior three, and we're stepping to the top of the mat, catching our balance, and then feet together. I'll give us one more option for our warrior three. We can come back into our Charlie's Angels to help us kind of get our intention going forward, or our muscular energy going forward. We can have our arms interlaced overhead, or more likely, a nice landing point could be, again, just around the crown of the head or the third eye again. Okay, where are we going? Okay, hands to heart center. To begin, standing tall in mountain pose. For warrior three, let's lift the right leg to remind our core. It's doing a lot of work here, lifting through the muscles of the feet. That lifted foot is flexed, again, to help us remember. We can also do a Barbie foot here, so pulling up through the toes, but pointing the foot, but flexing the toes. Okay, we tip forward into our warrior three. We can extend foot back, maybe arms forward or hands to third eye, shortening the lever here, keeping it more comfortable for the back and shoulders. Catch that moment of flight, pause, and then in our own time, we'll come back to standing. If we need to shake off and reset, we can shake off and reset. Let's do the other side. Okay. Strong hand position. We've removed all our obstacles with Ganesha Mudra. We got this. Engaging the muscles of both feet. Heart is lifted, open, strong and proud. Warrior three whenever we're ready. And we know we could tap down, we could do whatever we need to do to feel successful, letting go of competition, judgment, expectation. What are the benefits of warrior three? Strong back body, strong balance and stability, calm, focused mind. Get those benefits, find a moment of flight, and whenever we feel called to do so, stepping back to mountain. Let's start fresh. Inhaling up, exhaling hands to heart. We've got one more balance pose. We'll do our standing pigeon. Up to you if you want to hold a wall, grab a block, anything else we have around. Let's pick our good side. Again, we're kind of working on an intuition theme, tuning into our subtle body. So test it out. One foot, the other foot. Okay, I feel like this is my good side. All right, so we're starting on our good side to lay the blueprint. So our second best side is going to know what to do when we get there. Planting our strong standing leg, we can cross ankles and do a little sit, or we can cross ankle over thigh. We can stay upright to work on our balance. If we're looking for a deeper stretch, we can bring our hands down. So we have sort of our mechanics of our chair pose here, or forward fold, deadlift, flat back, monkey, with our pigeon leg. And everybody's put together a little bit differently, right? So let's find in ourselves a way to get a customized practice. Today, I feel like I need a good hip opener, so I'm coming down. Other days, I feel like I need to work on my balance, so I'm staying up. Some days, maybe a softer, more subtle, gentle practice, so both feet are down. Wherever we are, can we be okay with this? Allowing Ganesha to remove our own mental obstacles. We'll come up in our own time, no rush. Let's pause in our Ganesha Mudra to reset, collect our thoughts, clasping hands together. Okay, we have our second side. And now that it has seen our good side do it, it should be also our good side. Okay, finding our balance on our other leg, we can cross ankles, cross shins, cross thigh. We can hold something, we can sit a little, we can sit a lot. And as soon as we get down to the mat, generally, now that we have a 3-point balance, the balance is easier and the hip stretch is more intense. Right? It's like going to the buffet. If you've ever been to like a salad bar, do you want a lot of lettuce, a lot of broccoli, a lot of tomatoes? Finding the right flavor, mixture, combination for your salad, same idea with our pigeon. In our own time, bringing ourselves back to mountain, resetting. Let's make our way down to the mat. Okay, this time in our child's pose, option 4, Prana Mudra. So this is the one with our 2 fingers extended and our thumb holding down our ring and our pinky. Palms up more often. That may mean that we're on our forearms here. Whatever we need to do to incorporate this mudra. But let's let our intention be, what other words can we use instead of happy? Satisfied, content. I often think at the end of a yoga class we get that serotonin glow. Just this sort of nice, gentle, peaceful feeling. Being okay with what is. And in a very difficult world, maybe cultivating okayness is actually an incredibly high goal and a high standard to achieve. Making our way to child's pose. Child's pose to seated. Let's make our way to seated. Okay. And we'll sit for a moment. If we want a cushion or something, we can do that. We'll do a few seated, yeah, perfect. A few seated postures, and then we'll wind it right down. Okay, ooh. Butterfly. A classic, soles of the feet together, knees are open. And we can once more bring in our Ganesha Mudra. Since we did it before, just unthinking with which hand goes on top, this time I suggest, since we are into more of our lunar energy part of our class, Mountain 3, let's put our left hand on top so that we are emphasizing our lunar energy. As much as we allow our Ganesha Mudra to remove obstacles, we can do it in a soft and receptive way, saying yes to opportunities that come to us, not having to force or always be incredibly effortful. In this case, in our butterfly stretch, can we just say yes to gravity, allowing our long exhale to soften us deeper into the stretch. If we really feel a craving, an invitation to fold forward in our butterfly, fantastic, go for it. But let's hold the intention of the mudra, even if our bodies move into a position with our hands on the floor. will give us enough time for roughly one more full breath in and long exhale out. We can release our hands, coming into any comfortable position. So we talked a little bit about awareness of the hands, maybe arthritis. So it might feel nice to circle our wrists once more, the same as we did when we first began, although our wrists may be more supple at this point. We may also like to stretch our wrists, sort of like you're showing off a diamond ring, so that the back of the hand is facing towards me, facing forward. We could make a gentle fist or just have a flat hand, but then gently drawing the back of the hand down to increase the stretch through the back of the forearm, the back of the wrist. Right? Because we spend so much time in our plank shortening these muscles. Yogis often have quite tight muscles in the forearm. Taking it to the other side, showing off a beautiful diamond ring on the other hand. Gently drawing palm towards the trunk. And yes, this could be done in a more gentle position. I just, find it easier to demonstrate holding the arms up. Drawing our shoulders back and down, still the arm plugged in to the shoulder. Releasing, and then we'll draw a technique from, sometimes we do this in Thai massage. We have our Thai energy workshop, definitely in Reiki they do this, just kind of washing the hands, drawing the energy down from the hands. It's a nice gentle massage technique to just kind of let one hand drip down the other to give our hands a little break. We can do the same thing on each finger to help relax any tension in the hands. And the thumb, and this can kind of encourage the hand muscles, the tension to let go. Sometimes a practice where we really focus on the hands leaves our hands quite tense as we get to the mat. So anything that we can do to say, okay, hands, you are done, you are ready to release. Okay, coming into a supine position. As always, if we need to layer up, grab a drink, go for it. We'll come to lie on our backs, taking a moment for yourself to reset if we want to do a long stretch, knees to chest, any of that. Oh. And I promise I am not checking my text messages. I will guide us through a lake meditation. How are we doing? Perfect. Okay. So we may like to do a supine twist. We started with the fiery energy of active twists in our lunges. So maybe drawing in a more gentle twist variation to keep our subtle body energy balanced. We worked our fire. Let's work more on our kind of like moon energy. We'll draw knees to chest. Give ourselves a big hug. Releasing our feet to the mat. Let's go ahead and shift our hips slightly to the right to let our knees fall and stack to the left. Our left hand may be between our knees or somehow supporting our knees. If we feel like we're going too far, the knees are really knocking together. A fist between the knees or a block between the knees and thighs can be quite comfortable. Option to extend the arms out to T, one or both. And then we may feel more supported, grounded, tuning into that earth energy if we plant the palms down. I know often we're open, we like palms up, yogi's choice, feel it out. Once more, letting gravity do the work here. Our effort is focused on our concentration and our breathing. And we haven't forgotten our fire entirely. Drawing from our core strength, we'll come back up through center, resettle in the center of our mats. Drawing knees to chest. Releasing feet down, shifting hips left, twisting knees right. And the side of the body may need a slightly different variation of our twist. That's perfectly fine. We can find balance through asymmetry. If we're tuning inward, noticing our breathing slowing down, our heart rate slowing down, I hope. And if it's not naturally happening on its own, sending the message to heart and breath saying, hey, it's chill out time. Let's wind down. Drawing ourselves back through center as we're ready to do so, resetting any way that feels good. Knees to chest, windshield wipe. Long stretch. Alrighty. Option 4, waterfall or a happy baby pose. Drawing knees to chest, we can extend our legs into waterfall or a variation of legs up the wall. So we did a lot of stimulating work. This is a more subtle pose. Can help any swelling in the lower body come back towards the core. And this is where our circulatory system and our lymphatic system kind of work together to flush stuff out. Right, so we know when we exercise, all sorts of processes are happening. We're forming lactic acid, and our bodies are very smart. It knows how to recover from exercise if we put it in the right circumstance. And waterfall pose is one of these ways we can be in the right physical circumstance, the right environment. If we love dead bug, another option here. Or like I said, our happy baby. Once more, creating balance in the body. We really shortened our hip flexors. We can plant the feet lifting up into bridge, lengthening our hip flexors. Maybe a different variation than we usually do. Holding the edges of our mat, pulling the hands away from one another. And often we talk about our hands assisting the pose. I think I've neglected to say anything about that today. We could also use our hands to help hold the hips high. We could interlace, punching the hands down the back. One more opportunity for our Kali Mudra or Yogi Gun, Charlie's Angels. We'll go ahead and release. I'll give us a moment here. If there's any pose that I have neglected to add to your practice that you want to throw in here, of course. I always like to leave that, even just 1 minute, 30 seconds on each side at the end of class can be a nice way to feel more balanced. Make sure we include everything. And then my suggestion for the end of class, I will lead us through a lake meditation. I just like this one with the change of the seasons. I can share a script with you if you like. Don't let me forget. In the YouTube recording, I'll drop the link in the chat. I have a very favorite lake meditation script from Palu's mindfulness website. I like to pair this one with our pond gesture, which is actually great at this time of year because in the winter we're often like cold and hunched over and scrunching our shoulders trying to maintain heat in our core. So our pond gesture can be done a couple of different ways. I'd say the more subtle version, let's call it, is from our constructive rest. So our feet are planted. And we could start from cactus arms because that's just a more familiar language in our Yoga Fit language. And then we take our hands over top of the crown of the head, like still resting on the mat. Palm can be on top of palm. Again, if we like this energy of masculine and feminine, right hand on top to tune into our solar energy, masculine energy, force and strength, muscularity. Left hand on top, receptivity, acceptance, going with the flow, flexibility. This one can also be done in a less subtle variation for most people, extending the legs straight and extending the arms straight. So very much like when we do our long full body stretch, except we release the muscular activity and just let the body settle. So I will leave this up to you. Usually it's done with the toes or the feet just a little bit pointed, like not really efforting, but positioning the body so that the feet are not flexed. And in case that didn't make sense as I was talking about the hands overhead, the arms are still resting on the mat, but sort of a diamond position with the arms. Hands can be stacked or open. I would say let's go for a place that can be a soft landing pad for our bodies. So if the arms are awkwardly hanging, not quite settled on the mat, finding a position where the hands and the full length of the arm is resting on the mat. That may also mean bringing the arms down by the side. Another familiar resting place is hands on belly. Okay, once we are settled in our pond gesture, we are in the perfect place. I will lead us through our lake meditation, or for today we can call it our pond meditation. And it begins with bringing into our mind's eye an image of a body of water. So this may be a lake, an ocean, a river, a tiny pool of water, a koi pond, any image of water that you feel really resonates with you today. Noticing all of the environment of this body of water. And we can imagine that we, in accelerated timeline, watch all 4 seasons pass, or in terms of our traditional Chinese medicine, all 5 seasons pass around this body of water. Let's start with the heat of the summer, the sun dancing on the surface of the water. Moving into late summer, The days get shorter, the shadows get longer. We see the leaves start to change color into the autumn. The first snowflakes fall. Winter freezes this body of water. And then let's bring ourselves to our current season. For the most part, depending on where you are, the snow has melted. The water is water once more and not ice. Picturing the first signs of spring coming to your body of water. Buds on the trees, the first flowers, the first blades of grass. What are the first animals that visit as the seasons change? Our snowbirds return. Allowing an animal that resonates with you to settle on or near your body of water. You may like the beautiful white, gently gliding swan, more colorful birds, baby animals of spring, whatever it may be. It is your body of water. You can enjoy it any way you like. And the beauty of our lake meditation is that it allows us to picture the changes that come and go in nature as a way of inspiring in ourselves to accept the changes that come and go in the seasons of our own lives. The surface of the lake may be flat like a mirror, reflecting trees, rocks, sky, and clouds around. In this way, water holds everything in itself momentarily, in the same way that we may take on elements of our own environment inside ourselves, for better or worse. The wind may come up and stir the waves, causing the reflections to distort, disappear, perhaps become white caps. When the night comes, it's the moon's turn to shine and dance on the surface of the lake. The lake now reflects shadows and dark depths. As we cultivate our calm center, we have the ability in ourselves to drop below the surface of the lake, below the surface of the water, below the waves, to a place where there is always stillness, regardless of what is happening around the lake. It has a still, calm core with very gentle, subtle movements of whatever's growing at the bottom, a little movement of the sand. Bottom feeders tend to have a bad name, but actually they're quite stable and secure down here. So we can allow our being, our energetic self, in a way to merge with the image and the energy of the lake, becoming one with it. So that we can hold in our awareness with openness and compassion all parts of ourselves, things that come and go, storm clouds that form, and the bright sunny days that we have with ourselves. As we lie here, observing the play of the various energies of our own minds and hearts, fleeting thoughts and feelings, impulses and reactions, they come and go like ripples in the waves, noting their effects, Notice the effect of our thoughts and feelings, seeing if, in a way, they can calm the surface of the lake or the clarity of the water. Our thoughts and feelings may muddy the waters and stir them up. But as the lake is a receptive basin for water, can we be a receptive basin for our own thoughts and feelings? Not identifying with our thoughts and feelings as they come and go, but identifying with a core self. We can become the stillness below the surface of the lake, enjoying the good times and the sunny days as they come, and knowing that we can be still, slumbering at the bottom of the lake during more dull times, experiencing only gentle undulations, even when the surface is choppy and ragged. And the next few minutes that remain, continuing to sustain this image of the lake meditation on our own in silence, taking each moment as it comes, being the lake with its own storms and moments of peace. Let's take some time over the next minute or so to enliven our breath, bringing back some zest to our breathing. Making our way to a seated position. When we eventually get to seated, we can bring hands to heart center again in our Anjali Mudra or prayer mudra. Allowing this to be a way for us to once more have contact, palm to palm, sensing the energy in our hands, tuning in to the hum of energy below the surface of our physical bodies. We can bring our minds back to our intention, or once more select a word or a handful of words to describe how we're feeling right now in this present moment. let's bring our awareness back to the group. Sending some good vibes to everybody else. Thanking everyone for bringing their energy into the room today. Thank you for choosing to be here and spend this time with me. From my light to yours, namaste.